Welcome to the Deal Finder Corner. So this is your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. It's the UK's highest rated platform to find deals, and we are on a mission to empower our property investor and deal sourcer members to find 1,000 deals this year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. And the purpose of these Deal Finder Corners, as you know, if you're a regular to these, is to give you more and the best of the available resources by inviting expert guests that will share with you the latest and most current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding and making deals and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So it is my immense pleasure to introduce you today to my good friend, Ben Kilner on today's Deal Finder Corner. So Ben's been involved in AI for many years, well before it became a bit of a hype this year. And if you're looking at generating targeted direct-to-vendor letters, all the way to crafting business strategies, he will be explaining how you can use AI to level up your productivity while decreasing costs in your property businesses. Ben's journey started in terms of AI began when he founded the customer success and delivery team for an AI startup a few years ago, whilst leading the development of vision-based machine learning products for the sports industry. And you see how there's lots of crossover with the things that we are actually doing at Property Filter. And from there, he went on to found several of his own companies, including award-winning property investment companies. He received Property Entrepreneur of the Year and Deal of the Year award in 2020. So in a way, I've been working in Ben's shoes in that respect. And Ben, brilliant engineer, witnessed firsthand the transformative impact that AI can have and the divide really it can bring between those who use it and those who don't. And he's built a service that is called AI in Business to help companies level up their productivity using AI. So what we can expect from this episode? So Ben will cover what is AI, what is it now, and where is it going. He'll give us a few examples of how to use AI in your business right now so you can implement today, and how you can introduce AIs to your team, because people might be a bit worried, that they're going to make redundant, but it's not at all. It's all about increasing the productivity and get a lot more from the resources you already have. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing Ben talk today and listening to the insights and value he's going to share with us. So please give a massive Property Filter virtual welcome to Mr. Ben Kilner. Thank you very much. So over to you, mate.
Thank you very much, Guillaume. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So Guillaume touched on my background in AI, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail because it's relatively interesting. So around 5 years ago, I helped build a product which you probably have in your cities wherever you are now. You'll see them, they're little sort of triangular boxes up on lampposts, and they have little processors in them which have AI models installed on them. And they have been taught to recognize pedestrians, cyclists, buses, etc. And then they're counted across a virtual count line, and that data is used by councils to make decisions about funding around new road layouts, etc., etc. And that's throughout the UK, and they've just headed out to the US and Australia, so it's going large. And then the sports pitch product was exactly the same hardware, but a different AI model taught to recognize players and maintenance vehicles. And that's installed at some of the largest stadiums and training grounds in the world. So you're in a safe pair of hands. And when it comes to property, absolutely love property. It's my sort of pension pot company. And we do 3-bed, semi-detached properties, buy, cash, refurb, refinance, and let. Really straightforward. We've done loads of new builds, etc., service accommodation in the past, but now it's basic 3-bed semis, and absolutely love it. So let's dive in. So Guillaume touched on those that do and those that don't point. I think over the next few years, we're going to see this really stark divide between those that do either actively or passively embrace AI and those that don't. And I'll focus on those that don't for the time being, because they will literally be left behind. Given the potential productivity and actual productivity increases you can see when using AI, they will literally be left in the dust of companies using AI. For example, Property Filter with their letter writing tool and what they've got lined up in their pipeline of future products will be literally miles ahead of competitors. So you guys are in a safe pair of hands there. If any of you in this on this call are actively avoiding it due to fear, misunderstanding, whatever that is, that's why I'm here to help. And I would recommend changing that as quickly as possible if you can. So we'll dive into a bit more of the detail around how it all works. So what is AI? Artificial intelligence is just a term which was coined to describe computers that exhibit human capability. That could be recognizing images. It could be creating works of art. It could be writing novels. It could be pretty much anything which appears to be a human intelligent trait. So this is achieved by the large, broad umbrella term of machine learning. But what we're going to focus on more is neural networks. Neural networks are the backbone of products out there, which we'll be looking at in the coming slides, such as ChatGPT. They're built to replicate the human brain. So you have nodes and synapses and a huge network of these, which can build and strengthen and also weaken over time based on the training information which goes into them. So just imagine these neural networks like a human brain. Their capability is absolutely astonishing. So AI, in summary, is artificial intelligence that replicates human intelligence, but isn't human intelligence. So why has it come about now? We've had this recent AI, consumer AI boom. Obviously, it's been going on since the 50s with really, really basic logical X plus Y equals Z type models out there. However, over time, they have developed and they've had ups and downs. They've had research wins and research losses. And we've got to where we are now, primarily because of that research which has been done and also the hardware which is now available. We have the most astonishingly powerful cloud computers out there, like warehouse-sized computers. Just imagine your phone multiplied by many, many millions, and you have these cloud computers which can train these AI models in literally a blink of an eye, compared to where we were a few years ago, where to train one of these models could have taken years, which is obviously not practical on any commercial terms. And then we bring in demand. So there is demand out there from individuals, companies, and nations. They want this technology so that they can basically beat the competition. And so there's commercial demand, hardware, and the models available, and hence you see this massive bloom in consumer AI. So it would be remiss of me not to talk about the dark side of AI at this point. You will see, I suspect, increasing number of instances of this in the press over the coming years. And it is something which simply can't be avoided. We are creating a computer which actively pretends to be human. We want it to be human. And then we have to accept that it will be blurring the lines between what is real and what is fake. So in this image, we've got our Pope here dressed in a rather gangster-looking Balenciaga-style puffer trench coat, which is not quite on brand for the church. And with excessive numbers of these images, you could potentially begin to undermine the church's credibility, that sort of thing. Another relatively lightweight example more recently is Stephen Fry. He got upset when he realized someone had used AI to replicate his voice, which was then used to read a Harry Potter book and then published onto Audible and was being sold there. And the darkest example, which I'll address today, is taking identities of individuals and primarily children, which will then replicate their voice, maybe even their speech patterns, and maybe even their appearance. And then voice notes will be generated and sent to parents on an unknown WhatsApp number saying, "Ma and Pa, I'm in trouble. Can you send me some cash to this number?" And it will sound exactly like your child. So this is the sort of dark and nefarious side of AI. which you just must be aware of. But we won't focus on any more in this presentation. We'll be looking at more of the positive sides, of which the vast majority is positive. So where are we now and where are we headed in the future? So this rather beautiful and rather clunky and ancient looking computer on the left there is one of the first Mac computers. And you can see it's got a keyboard and a screen. It doesn't have a mouse. You control that thing with a command line. All you do is just type into it, press enter and / with specific commands. There's no mouse, and there are some of these computers around the world, not very many, and they don't talk to each other very well. So that's a really apt analogy for where we are with our current AI models that are out there. They are significantly more powerful than anything we've had before, i.e. pen and paper in this example, and they don't really talk that well to one another yet. So in the next few years, we'll see these different AI models. Let's use, for example, ChatGPT, which everyone here, I suspect, knows. We'll begin to talk to other AI models, even potentially learning from them. And they will be exchanging information, and you'll build up this quasi-artificial general intelligence. And it will exhibit incredible power. But that's not the end of it. We are headed towards a world where there is an artificial general intelligence. And this will be some sort of omniscient, godlike model which knows everything which is going on, knows all of our history, and has access to it within literally a fraction of a second. And it will be able to outsmart pretty much any group of human beings out there. And that's where we're headed. I think we're quite a way off that. And when we get there, it's arguable whether it's going to be a good or a bad thing, but it's where we're headed. A chap called Mo Gawdat, who some of you will be aware of, he wrote Solve for Happy. It's a wonderful book if you have a chance to read it. He worked for Google, and he left Google at the point where he actually got really concerned about artificial intelligence. He saw what was being done in the research labs, and he felt really quite uncomfortable. And so he left to follow other pursuits, including writing Solve for Happy. And he came up with the analogy, or the sort of the example of AGI being like Einstein to humans as ants. So the human race scuttling around doing seemingly quite intelligent things, building ants' nests, going about their business in quite an intuitive way. And then this Einstein-like omniscient creature with just myriad more computational power. So that's Mo Gawdat. I'd definitely recommend having a read of his stuff for a bit more context. So this, in fact, the previous image of Einstein and this image, they're all AI generated using Midjourney, which we'll cover a little bit later. And in this image, I want to sort of emphasize that as we bring up children, there are elements of nature and there are elements of nurture which form our children. So the nature side of things for AI will be very logical, limited by hardware currently and probably into the future, and will have a number of other aspects, but that's the nature side of AI. Then the nurture side of AI is something which I think not many people really touch on. And it really is important that we interact with these AI models in a positive way to help nurture them into a positive, human-friendly future. So when interacting, especially with large language models, I would recommend being quite, talk to them as you would another human being, is my recommendation. And don't sort of talk down to them, just talk across them. And the reason for that is how they learn. So in this, like another AI generated image, this is to do with security, primarily your private information. Most of these AI models learn from large data sets. These data sets can be artificial or they can be human generated. So a human generated example would be 100 well-written novels fed into a training set, which then a large language model will use to write another novel in the future. However, there are more artificial ways of creating data sets. They can be one person in a room writing multiple essays in different styles, which can then be used as a sort of more artificial data set. And the thing you must know is that these data sets are often trained or often fed by information that you feed into these AI models. So if you're interacting with ChatGPT in the normal 3.5 or version 4, the data you put in may or may not be used in a training set in the future. And that training data could, probably not by intention, but could by mistake make its way into the public domain. So I'd really recommend only putting information into these AI models that you would be happy to share publicly. The exception to that is things like ChatGPT Enterprise version, which explicitly states it won't use your data for future training sets. But generally, the data you put in will be used. And an interesting example of this is, you know, those capture boxes, those capture security boxes where you have to label images with a bridge in. That's a prime example of data sets which will be used for training models in the future. You are labeling those images for an AI model, which will get more and more intelligent and more able to recognize bridges in the future. So just be aware. Impact of AI. So we're going to be looking at productivity in this presentation. So we're going to have on this slide, we'll have a look at jobs, transport, healthcare, education, robots, and finance. So productivity, we'll leave for now. Jobs. We've had multiple revolutions in the past, multiple. We've had industrial, we've had agricultural revolutions, and we've seen through those revolutions a transfer of jobs. Yes, people may lose their jobs for a time, but they will reskill and move to others. And I think that is what we will see in this AI revolution. People who either can't or won't use AI in their jobs may be completely replaced and have to find something more manual. But really, I don't think there's going to be a destruction of jobs. And if there are, then we'll have to come up with universal basic income to support individuals to make sure that they are not left to starve. And then transport. Everyone knows about driverless cars. That's the most obvious version. And I think within the next 5 years, we will see more and more driverless or transport with less human interaction, which I think could potentially be a positive thing. Then healthcare. This is where I think the largest gains, where we as a human race stand to make the largest gains. Humans are quite biased. I mean, AI models can be biased, but they can be trained out of them. It's really hard to train biases out of humans. And AI models also have the ability to view in 3, 4, potentially 5 dimensions, which humans really struggle with. We can sort of see in 2 dimensions and also understand time as a 3rd dimension. But these large computational models could recognize a tumor. So you go in for, let's say, a CAT scan or an MRI scan 1 year, and then you go in exactly the same time the next year, and it will do the CAT scan and then do an exact side-by-side comparison whilst you're waiting, sipping at your tea afterwards. And it will say that the volume and shape of this cancerous growth is changed by this much, and this is the treatment we would recommend based on your medical record. And it will be able to diagnose these things faster and prescribe medicines even faster. So I think there could be huge, huge gains there. Then education. I know that some of my favorite lecturers and teachers that I've had in the past are those who have understood how I learn. Personally, I learn with visual things. I'm okay with other forms, but really, I like pretty pictures. That's the main way I like to learn. And imagine having a sort of AI education assistant who will be there feeding you information in exactly the format that you like it, whether it's you or your children. This will become or is becoming a reality. You will be served up with information that is really palatable and easy for you to absorb. Then robots. Some of you will have seen in the news very recently, Amazon is trialing humanoid robots in their large warehouses to reduce the need for really repetitive human tasks. So they're packaging it up as a positive thing, but really it is to make sure that they have staff who can work around the clock, who don't need toilet breaks, and don't ask for pay rises. So that is where we are headed with robots. And the reason why they're humanoid is because they wouldn't need to be able to use the existing facilities like steps, stairs, lifts. If it was built just as a robot, it would be conveyor belts, much more efficient. Then finance. If you combine artificial intelligence with the crypto space, I think we will be seeing this in the next few years, sort of digital central reserve currencies, which are then monitored using artificial intelligence. We will hopefully create a faster and safer financial environment. It remains to be seen. Let's just hold out and see what happens. So now let's dive into the juicy bits. So how can you begin to use AI in your companies now? The examples I've got here very roughly follow the life cycle of a company, where we start off from business plan and end up with hiring members of staff. This will hopefully mean that it covers areas which are applicable to you guys. And we've got some specific examples on putting deals together for vendors, which hopefully will tick a few boxes for you. So we'll be looking at a number of different AI protocols in this, but you'll see me coming back to ChatGPT, and specifically ChatGPT 4.0 again and again. In this example, I put in an exceptionally simple command line prompt. So it was write a business plan for a property letting business. And it came up with a really well-structured, eloquently written job description, business plan. And it's an easy 80% time saved. If I was to sit there and try and write out myself, I'd do a fairly good job. I may have used, copied and pasted something from a Google template somewhere, but this is customized to exactly what I need. And if I'd put an even more detailed prompt in, I would have got an even better result out. So time saving, just astonishing level of improvement there. And when you guys have a go with the property filter letter writer, you will see that just simply the speed of generation is just mind-blowing. I think I timed it at around 30 seconds to generate 4 letters. And for me, that would be probably about 30 minutes to do the same. So spreadsheet. In the early days of ChatGPT, you could go in there and ask it to create a Google Sheet for you. They have obviously, given their ties with Microsoft and Google doing their own thing, they have removed that capability, but that will enable you to create a tabulated format which you can copy and paste into a spreadsheet and then fill out all the formulas. And if you get stuck with your formulas, you can ask it to create your formula for you. So stamp duty, land tax in the UK, a really hefty nested if statement there, which is rather daunting, to be honest. And it knows how to generate that literally within seconds. And any other complex equations you need, head in there, ask it the question. You will increasingly see this sort of capability being built into the likes of Google Sheets and Excel. So for the time being, if you want to be ahead of the game, use ChatGPT to generate this sort of thing for you. And if you want to be slightly behind the sort of leading edge, you can hold out and it will be introduced into the likes of Google Sheets and Excel. One of the things which I really didn't see coming with this whole AI boom recently was the level of creativity. This is an exceptionally simple example of creating 10 ideas for property lettings business names. I originally thought that it would be much simpler, more straightforward human traits that it would replicate. But the creative side is probably one of the most valuable things which humans have. But when you boil it down to its constituent parts, you've got memory, experience, and replication. And really, that's all AI does. It's got the memory of what sort of business names you like. It's got access to that. It's got loads of nice examples. And then it's got the ability to extrapolate from those and create these examples. They are really basic because of my very simple command. But I could have asked for 10 business names starting with the letter X and ending with P, and it probably would have been able to generate it, which would have taken me probably days to do. So that creativity and that sort of brainstorming aspect is where I'd really recommend people on this call focus on and use ChatGPT and similar models for. So this is another example of creativity in a sort of nicely potted form. Specifically for you guys, I created this, and it's putting a scenario to ChatGPT and asking it to brainstorm solutions. So there's basically someone selling a house out there. They are asking more than what it's worth, and they don't need the money immediately. And the end game for you as a property individual or developer is to renovate it and resell it. And so you could probably sit down and brainstorm a few of these ideas, especially if you're very experienced or there are particular strategies you like. But it may have taken a while. I'm just going to shuffle that up. And it's come up with everything and probably about 3 more than I probably would have thought of in the first 10 minutes. So we've got seller financing, quite an obvious one, lease option, equity share, staggered payment, partnership, deferred sale, renovate on behalf, and escrow account. And some of these, the escrow accounts are quite Americanized, but it's essentially a deferred payment schedule based on performance. And these things, although you may know them, it may not be possible for you to recall them in, let's say, the 10 seconds that ChatGPT managed to recall it in. So when you have a sticking point or you want to come up with new strategies for your business, I'd really recommend coming into ChatGPT to brainstorm. So the next level, so this is using what it came up with and then taking it to the next level. So I said, please craft an email to the vendor offering options 1, 2, and 3. And it's come up with a really well-written letter with examples, really eloquently written examples of how it would benefit both you as the buyer and the vendor. So let's just address seller financing. I would be willing to purchase the property through seller financing. This means you would act in the capacity of a financier, allowing me to make monthly payments over a mutually agreed period. This could provide you with a steady stream of income, possibly at an interest rate that's more favorable than traditional investments. I mean, I like writing, and I probably couldn't have crafted that in such an eloquent and well-written way. It really is succinct and to the point. And so when it comes to this letter creation, I would first of all try with the letter writer within Property Filter. It does more than you could possibly need for initially getting in touch. But the next stage, when you want to sort of come up with these more creative deal ideas, come back to ChatGPT and brainstorm. And we'll look at prompt engineering in a minute. And one of the things I recommend is if you are unsure about what information you should be putting into these command lines or questions, ask it to ask you what it needs in order to give you the best answer possible. We'll cover that more in a minute. Logos. This is a protocol called Midjourney. Moving away from ChatGPT just briefly. Midjourney is the most powerful image generator that I've come across. There are competitors, including some big boys out there, but Midjourney is the most powerful that I've come across so far. And I put in, again, a very, very simple prompt of a simple and modern logo for a property management company. And it's come up with some, to be honest, quite mediocre examples. I would probably select number 4 here and ask it to then create variants on that. You'll also notice that the text is absolute gibberish. It is one of it has two limitations. One of the two is its text-to-text translation. It can't currently do it. So in this instance, you need to take this as your starting point and then go into something like Canva and make your changes, or send it off to a designer as an initial inspiration for them to work on. But it can be a great way of coming up with new ideas, and you can keep plugging away at this until you find exactly the logo you like. The other thing Midjourney struggles with, rather oddly, mostly oddly, is fingers and limbs on humans. It can be a little upsetting when you spot that there is a sixth finger on someone's hand, or in some very bizarre examples, a sort of third leg just propped up against them. So just beware, that is a thing, and it's just very hard for it to understand. We'll leave it there. It's a thing, so just beware of it. Text to text and limbs and fingers on humans, it currently struggles with, but everything else is mind-blowingly powerful. So, websites. At some point, I suspect you guys are going to need to create a website. The likes of Squarespace were introduced to allow people to create simple, good-looking, and functional websites at an affordable price. And they are now seeing stiff competition from AI competitors such as TenWeb. So this was a good few months ago now that I put this prompt in to create a website for me. And it was a luxury property lettings company. We specialize in the south of England. Our target market is wealthy young families. We are unique because of our exceptional level of service. I mean, relatively generic, but it gave it a bit of context and a good starting point. Took about 10 minutes of churning away to create a fully functional website, which you can see here, just a screenshot of, with placeholder images and a good stab at the first text, but all functional, all buttons working, good to go. The other service that the likes of TenWeb offer are website duplication. There are risks here around plagiarism for obvious reasons, but essentially you can take a URL of a website that you like, pop it into TenWeb, and it will duplicate it into a sort of WordPress format. Risky, but amazingly powerful. If there is something you like out there, you could use it as a starting point, and then just make sure you make a lot of changes to make sure you can't be accused of plagiarizing someone's website. Massive time saving that. Let's have a look here. So another example of creativity here is content ideas. So when you've set up your business, once you're up and running and you're doing sort of more promotions, even if you're a deal sourcer out there looking for deals and you're looking for ways to promote what the work that you're doing, you could ask it to come up with 10 social media posts for in this example, it's a lettings company, including hashtags, and away it goes. Some of them will be applicable, some of them won't. You need to go through and decide what works for you and what doesn't. But that, again, that brainstorming, creativity side of things is just so powerful and so helpful, especially at the end of the day when you're just a bit knackered and need to get something done. Photo editing. Canva, which I use very regularly, and I'd really recommend, it's what this presentation is created on, has some really good introductory AI tools within it. A very simple example here is taking this bunch of roses, highlighting it and saying, please convert this to a shoe, and away you go. You could be using this in, let's say, for example, you view a property and take some photographs and you want to take a picture off the wall because you want to put it in a presentation, or it's a personal photograph. Just highlight that photograph and say, convert to blank wall, or convert to an image of the countryside. It will do that for you. Luna Neo is a more advanced example, but the most advanced is Photoshop. It always has been very powerful, but it's leaps and bounds recently. Mind-blowing capability. Architecture. So lots of people here will be looking at finding deals and then potentially adapting the building. So you can use Midjourney to come up with interior design ideas or the exterior plans for buildings. In this example, I have asked it to create a cabin surrounded by nature, made of wood, concrete with black roof, fireplace, giant glass window, Scandinavian interior design, and away it went. And it's created these quite advanced examples of buildings. And if you notice the reflections in the windows, they are like pixel perfect. They're astonishingly detailed. There are architecture models out there which will be able to take an image or multiple images of a building and then create a proper architectural grade floor plan from it, and then draw you the render of the building. We're not there quite yet. There are some quite good, quite advanced examples there, but we're not there yet. Watch this space. So that's Midjourney again. A really good time saving, especially when you can't find what you need on Google Images or Pinterest for your interior design ideas. I'd head in there straight away to Midjourney. One slight caveat with Midjourney is that you need to access it via Discord, which is a sort of, it's like, if anyone's come across Slack, it's like Slack. It's a chat server in a way, and you interact with it like that. It will be moving to a web server soon, but for the time being, it's via Discord, which can be a bit more clunky. But once you're in, it's really, really powerful. Another good example of how to use ChatGPT is summarizing text. If you have a large block of text and you just want to get the pertinent points out, drop it in there, ask it to summarize. And this draws me on to the point of using existing members of your team or hiring a VA. But whilst you do it, make sure that you manage the integration of AI into their workflow in a sensitive manner. We'll come on to that more in just a minute. When you are hiring people, ChatGPT again, write a job description for whatever you need. And this is, again, a really, really simple prompt here. You can add way more context, way more detail, and get a much better output. Meeting minutes. So I think my AI secretary is probably in this meeting taking minutes at the moment under Ben's Otter AI. And this will turn up in my Zoom meetings and record everything which is said in written format, and then create a meeting summary from that. And it's really useful to be able to look back on, and significantly cheaper than having your VA or PA in on the meeting taking notes on your behalf. A question which comes up quite frequently, especially at the moment as ChatGPT competitors such as Bing and Bard sort of muscle up for the front spots, is which is best. And I always revert back to ChatGPT version 4, specifically paid version at the moment. 3.5, ChatGPT 3.5 just simply isn't as good at logical thought flow as V4 is. So I'd really recommend paying for ChatGPT version 4. Bing actually, so Microsoft Bing actually uses ChatGPT in its backend. However, it really isn't as succinct and good, to be brutally honest. It just doesn't really deliver the same results. It may do in the future, it just currently doesn't. Then we've got Bard. So this is Google's attempt. It's labeled as very much an experiment at the moment. And it is, as such, not that predictable. And currently, I don't think as good. It will get better over time, but I always come back to ChatGPT 4.0 for the best large language model out there at the moment. Prompt engineering. So this is a really important one, and something which people often struggle with. They're used to just writing into a search function in Google to say exactly what they need. In order to get the best out of these, especially large language models, you've got to give clear, specific instructions and context. So by that, clear, well written, obviously. Specific, don't ask for too much at once. And context, give it a bit of backstory about you and yourself and what you're trying to do. If you have multiple questions, ask them one at a time in a sequential manner. So ask one question, wait for it to answer, ask another question, and it will build on the knowledge and answers it's given you in the past. And as I mentioned before, if you're unsure about what to put in as a prompt, you can actually ask it to ask you what it needs in order to give you the best result. And then, as always with these things, experiment and refine. If you don't get the answer you're after, make some tweaks, have another go, and sort of have a feedback loop and get better and better. So this, the rewire your brain is actually a really appropriate comment for this, because it's so easy to just imagine these things as tools, which they are tools, but they're more than tools in that you can begin to rely on them as colleagues. If you can, I don't know, have a little someone on your desk, this little doggy, for example, and have them there as a reminder that you can rely on your AI colleague. They are there, they're incredibly intelligent. Imagine them as a sort of a smart summer intern just about to head off to Harvard, for example. Super powerful and just ready to go, but otherwise will sit around on their phone and not do much. So how to make it stick? As with everything, habits, having a little reminder that you should be using it there is really useful. When it comes to your team, though, I would tread carefully. I've had a number of clients come to me and say, what you've recommended and what we've introduced into the company is really helpful and useful, and it has been adopted by some. However, there are some who just simply will not use AI protocols. And the reason for that can vary from super uncomfortable with using things which they don't understand, uncomfortable that they are technologically ignorant, a whole variety of things. However, when the attempt has been made to use some sort of stick to encourage them, the backlash has been really marked beyond any other sort of workplace reaction, because they feel that these AI models are coming for their jobs essentially, and it's like another person in the room about to try and take their job. So only use carrots as incentives to get your employees to use AI protocols within their workflow. And then finally, it is sometimes impossible to teach old dogs new tricks. If that's you, that's absolutely fine. But I would highly recommend hiring someone who is comfortable using AI, whether that's a VA or PA. When you're hiring, just make sure that in the job description, you have expertise with ChatGPT or whatever AI protocol that you need is. So those are making AI stick within your company. The key takeaways. So as we begin to sort of wrap up, the key takeaways, start simple. There are lots of examples that I've used, but really, if you are new to this, start with ChatGPT, especially ChatGPT 4.0 for the best results. Editor mindset. When you are delegating work to AI, let's again, ChatGPT, just imagine them as a summer intern. They are very intelligent, but they don't necessarily know everything they need to in order to produce the best results. You have to read it through. You have to check it. You have to make sure it's sensible. Trusting it blindly will end in trouble. Then coming back to the point on security, everything you put into the majority of these protocols could be used in future training sets. So tread with caution, especially with private information. Then another point is small business advantage. As sole traders, as individuals, as small businesses, we have the advantage of being able to move quickly ahead of our massive competitors out there. Yes, they might have large funds, but it will take them months, if not years, to incorporate some of these more complex models into their workflow, primarily due to security concerns, but a whole host of other reasons. Make it stick. Keep those habits going, have something there to remind you to use ChatGPT, and don't get left behind. Either if you're actively avoiding it, really, I would recommend stepping forward and embracing these technologies, because they can level you up so dramatically once you've embraced them, especially for people in leadership and creative roles. And that is everything. So I'll be around for a Q&A session, and these slides will be available to anyone who would like them. Please email me at ben@aiinbusiness.co. if you would like a copy. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for Q&A, or send me an email. Over to you, Guillaume.
Yeah, awesome, Ben. Thank you so much. I just took a quick screenshot of this, pop it in the chat, like these people can find it. So thank you so much for this. I learned quite a few things actually. So don't talk down to AI. You know, that's quite that was quite a strong statement, and I get it. You know, because you feed it with, it learns whatever you feed it with. So I'm guessing if you respect it, it will learn to be respectful. So that was quite interesting. So I never looked at it from a nature and nurture point of view. That was quite interesting. And then you're right about the security. So it's a big elephant in the room. And most people I know use ChatGPT are not very cautious. So I think it's a very important thing I wanted to, yeah, it's great you shared about this. I wanted to come across and share with people, especially when you are, you know, like writing direct to vendor letters and things like that. It's very easy to give your phone numbers, give your emails, or all the call to actions you want people to contact you with. But the thing is, God knows where it's going. You know, it will learn, it will go somewhere, and who knows where it's going to go out. And same thing with the vendors' details, you know, home addresses and things like that. So it's why when we worked on the direct to vendor letter on Property Filter, you might notice when you click and to generate the letters, it doesn't quite write the text, you know, like you don't see it like on ChatGPT, because we do some post treatment. So we leave some blanks in our communication with GPT-4, and then after that we fill the blanks with your details. We fill the blanks with the vendor details, so that never ever do we share your details with OpenAI, nor the vendor details, because it's with the volume of people now using the direct to vendor generator on Property Filter, you know, like it's quite a lot of personal data that could go away. So we just made this in that way, and thanks a lot for the help on that. And then yeah, ChatGPT-4. So again, on Property Filter, it's linked with ChatGPT-4 because we want to give you the best of things. So there's a cost to us. There's a cost, basically, you know, buy cheap, buy twice. And the reality is, when you want to win some productivity, the leap between ChatGPT-3 or the free versions and ChatGPT-4 is so huge that it's really worth the subscription if you wanted to use it on your own. Or for us, it's really worth you know, giving you access to GPT-4 in the integration with Property Filter. And then we use it all the time. You know, we use it for coding, we use it for Excel, those spreadsheets. So you mentioned about the stamp duty calculator. If you want to build your own spreadsheet, it's great. But as I think, as it mentioned, it only got data from 2021. So you need to tweak the formula after that, or you could go and plug it in Property Filter. So whatever your situation, if you're a non-resident, if you are buying commercial property, all of this is available in Property Filter. I really like the idea of when you say ask it to ask you or to speak to him. I think it's a really interesting and good practice for your prompt engineering. And I really took a lot from the things you had on the top tips at the end. And it is a small business advantage. So most of our team use it. We have different licenses of GPT-4. We use it for coding. We use it for the copy, promoting these events. We use it for lots of different things, and in generating images and things like that. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. Hopefully that helps people with awareness and also the security things, which I think most people are not really aware of. So let's move into the questions. So I think the first question was from Bob, who said, do you need to specify natural English rather than American every time in your prompt?
Good question. If you're finding, so if you're in ChatGPT and you are, within ChatGPT, there are chats. So different chats will be on different topics, and they will be completely fresh, and they won't know about each other. They won't refer to one another, these chats. So if you have a fresh new chat and you are wanting it to write in a particular style, American English or English, you at the beginning can specify, but further down that chat, it should remember to speak in the style which you initially requested. If you moved over to a separate chat box within ChatGPT, you would probably have to ask it to make sure it wrote in British English rather than American English.
Yeah, awesome. Björn is asking, any AI useful for drawing up floor plans? So you mentioned about something with rendering and things like that, but it wasn't quite ready yet. Can you mention of some tools people can keep an eye on in the coming months? Maybe they improve.
So that's an interesting one. Whoever that is, send me a quick email and I'll get back to you. However, you can use Midjourney to come up with floor plan renders itself. So if you go into Midjourney and ask it to create a floor plan for a 3-bed house with a garage attached and a 1/4 of an acre garden, it will actually have a really good stab at it. It's quite blocky and clunky, but if you need it for just a representation to have a discussion over, it's great. There are sort of more architectural protocols out there which will be incorporating it, but I suspect the small startup AI companies out there trying to attempt it will probably be consumed by the big players out there. So in all honesty, stick with the big players. Whoever you're comfortable with now will most likely be buying up small AI companies to provide these features in the future. But there will be some if you're really keen and want to be on a very cutting edge. But Midjourney can be a good example. Go ahead.
So sorry, about Midjourney. So I struggle with Discord, and you seem to be in a queue all the time. I struggle. The team knows how to use it, and I leave it to them now. But I struggle with the Discord thing. Do you know when they are going to bring it to a web portal or some sort? You know, more or less.
I've seen the beta version available for testing recently. I don't know the launch date, but I would have thought it's going to be the next 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Any longer than that, then they're just dragging their heels.
Okay. Awesome. Michael is asking, which is the best free AI search engine? ChatGPT 3.5, Bird, or Bing? I think you answered the question.
So from a search engine, pure search engine, I probably would stick with Bing or Bard. Personally, the way I use it is ChatGPT 4.0 for anything AI related, and anything just vanilla Google, I just go to Google. Bard can twist. I found that the results it produces can be a bit twisted, not necessarily in a bad way. It's just I don't necessarily want it like that. If I wanted a creative response, I'd go to ChatGPT. The best version out there, I'd experiment between Bing and Bard. The web integration or the internet integration into ChatGPT isn't that great at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I use ChatGPT for the creative stuff over there, and then I'll just go to the normal Google for normal search. Andrew is asking, so maybe with this question, we maybe need to take a little step back. So there seems to be several ChatGPT versions. When we search for it, how do we select the correct one? And maybe taking a bit of a step back, explaining the different versions, how it works, and how they release them, and why you should go for the top one all the time.
So there are a myriad of different versions out there. They're built for different purposes. So you'll have 3.5, which is quick, and even the version which is built for chatbots is even faster. It will just come back with lightning fast discussional points. It won't give you detailed answers. It won't give you an essay. It will be able to chat to you very quickly and easily and succinctly. Then the sort of 3.5 main model, which would be probably your default if you're on the free ChatGPT version, is good at creating longer form content pretty quickly. But its logical capabilities really just aren't that great. I think someone did a test where they imagined a cup being upturned. It had a cup with a ping pong ball inside. It was then turned upside down and put on the floor and lifted up again. It didn't understand gravity. It didn't understand that the ball would be left behind, whereas ChatGPT 4 did. That logical thought is the sort of one of the key differences between 3.5 and 4. 4 is way more computationally intensive. It's a much larger model with a much larger training data set fed into it. And as such, it's more expensive for them to run. And therefore, you're limited to, I think it's now 30 calls in any 1 hour period. So that's something to be aware of. For high intensity work, you might hit the limit on your ChatGPT version 4 account. those are the main different versions out there. The chat version, which is super quick and basic, 3.5, which can be longer form, but not very good at logic, and 4, which is just, to be honest, the best out there. So I'd use it. Yeah, we connect to ChatGPT-4 in the backend for the direct to vendor letters functions in Property Filter. Awesome. Thank you. So Raymond is saying I'm an old dog, but I'm addicted to Bard. Fantastic tool. Awesome. Steven is asking, is your URL really .co at the end, or is it a typo? Yeah, just .co. Yeah, I popped, if you scroll the chat, the image for the Ben's email, which I suggest you save if you want to ask anything AI related. Get a copy of the slides and this thing. Sherry is asking, does ChatGPT have a cost package for number of users? I don't think so. I can't remember what we do. I think it's on a per license basis. The exception to that might be the enterprise model, where you might be able to stack multiple users under one account, because they will need to keep all of that company information secure. Short answer is I don't 100% know, but currently I think you would have to be an enterprise to get a sort of package deal for the number of users. So Sian is asking, and then Eamon kind of responded. So is there a way to transfer information from ChatGPT into PowerPoint? So I'm guessing copy paste, and I see Eamon suggesting copy pasting. But if you're thinking of creating visuals, like all the AI generated images you've seen in Ben's PowerPoint, this is using Midjourney, which is another one. But you can use ChatGPT to create prompts for Midjourney, and then so there's a user manual for Midjourney, which you can feed into ChatGPT and actually within a chat thread teach it how to create prompts for Midjourney, and it will. I've created one which helps me out when I need really complex things. You put in a written command and it will translate it into a Midjourney friendly prompt with all of the aspect ratios, detail, depth of fields, lens type, camera type, etc. But for basic stuff, all you need is /imagine, then write out your prompt, and it will create a square image for you. If you want to change aspect ratio, it's --AR and then 16:9 or 9:6. Yeah, there's a lot. It's like photography, like it can get really geeky on all these things. Yeah. Shana is asking, how can I improve Go Eye Level with AI in my fast house sales business? So Go Eye Level is like a CRM system that integrates with Facebook ads and different things like that. So I'm not quite sure. Putting you on the spot a little bit there, because I don't know how Go Eye Level works in detail. But yeah, similarly, I don't know how it works. I am aware of a number of sort of social media platforms out there which are using AI to generate content for you. That specific one I don't know. However, for your business, I would recommend going to ChatGPT and brainstorming ideas for content. You could even come up with a whole year's strategy to then implement via your Go High Level platform. I'm assuming Go High Level is a distribution platform to multiple different social media channels. I just don't know. And if that is the case, then I'd go to ChatGPT for your high level strategy. And then once you've got your high level strategy, keep putting more prompts in, work down and down and down and down, until you have a daily or weekly content calendar for you to produce, and it will write the caption for you. It will write your hashtags, and away you go. Yep. So Youssef is opening the rabbit hole flap here. So should we be worried that AI takes over human and carry on based on AI decisions? I've watched The Matrix in the plane last week. Actually, it's quite relevant. Yeah, it really is. The short answer is so the question is, should we worry AI will take over? I would say I would be aware that it's a possibility. To worry about something which is, to all intents and purposes, out of our control, I would say isn't necessarily productive. If you really are worried, and I actually went through, about 2 months ago, I went to the pub with a friend and I was like, what's the point? I mean, the bandwidth on these things is just insane. They can talk, we can talk, I think it's around 30 bits per second. 5G is like 30, I think it's like 30 billion bits per second up to the cloud. And then these serial bus connections between these servers is millions of times more powerful than that. And we will just be left in the dust. So I did have this existential crisis about a couple of months ago. So you're not alone there.
Yeah.
But I decided not to worry about it anymore because it's out of my control. And it is something which could be incredibly amazing for the human race. In theory, we'll see what actually happens, but in theory, it could help with our financial institutions, it could help with politics, it could help reduce instances of war, and it could help remove famine in the world. So there is that possibility. There are darker options, but there are light options as well. So I think if we focus on creating really positive AI models out there, that's what we should be focusing on supporting. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, the genie is out of the bottle anyway. It's out of our control. It's a bit like when social media came out, and it's like, with or without you, people are going to make, money. It's not going anywhere. So, and it's the same thing with this. So Mark made a good point. I suspect the singularity will happen when AI is integrated into quantum computers, and this will leave us behind and will make security very difficult. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I agree with you. But you can't worry all your life on things you can't control. Yeah. Then we have some little Q&As that have been dealt with. Bob is asking, can you speculate a bit more in more depth on the effects on education?
There was, what's the name of the company? It's got a double G in it and it's got an S in it. It's like SEG, an American company which provided educational services, primarily textbooks, etc., for US consumption. And when these ChatGPT models and large language models came along, their share price tanked overnight. They were not quite written off, but nearly. And I think that really highlights the level of impact that this will have. We will move away from knowledge being held in textbooks and on our phones. It will be huge, huge databases filled with accurate information, and it will be accurate. It will be checked by the service provider, and we'll be able to access that at lightning speed and have it served to us in a way which is palatable for our learning style. I suspect the physical aspect and the social aspect of having schools will continue. And in the early days, we will have people augmenting their the education system, especially more wealthy people, augmenting their children's education system with an iPad with an AI tutor on. So that's where we'll be initially. In the future, I suspect we will have Neuralink style chips in our brains, which will help us access information even faster, but that's just speculation for the future and may or may not happen. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
So Chris is asking, if I have an architectural plan with say 5 flats and I want to see the render, a 3D render, is there a model that does that?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment. It's definitely worth having a Google for that very, very specific question. I would have thought if you have a large an existing architectural model or system that you're using, that they will be looking at introducing that capability very soon if they haven't already. But give it a Google. The short answer is I don't know of any that currently can do that.
Okay, then Patrick is asking, so this is for referring to someone with memory impairments, and any suggestions on some tools that can be used to help with people with memory impairments? So getting into medical aid. Yeah,
so again, this is where I think it will be a huge benefit in the medical space, or the sort of I can definitely see in the not too distant future the really not there are examples of this being done already, where you're creating social friends for yourself, for example. The most lurid example of this is people dating AI chatbots. And these AI chatbots are given a memory bank. They have favorite restaurants, they have a speaking style, they like cookies, for example. All of these things can be put into a separate AI model to replicate your own likes, dislikes, and memories. I can definitely see a world where, and it's probably already been done, it's just not something I'm aware of, where whilst, if you know you have some sort of degenerative disease, and you want to download your memories and your likes and dislikes and thoughts, you will be able to do that whilst your brain is fully functional. And then when your brain begins to deteriorate, you'll be able to call on that model to remind you of the holidays you had when you were 10 and your favorite restaurants and how to get there. I can really see that as an option, and potentially a really powerful option. There are two around this sort of, let's just go back to the really basic one of dating. There are two schools of thought. Should you have what is quite a potentially really nasty digital thing replicating what is a human and creating that fake human interaction? The other school of thought is, would you rather have that person commit suicide and be lonely and then be lonely and commit suicide? If that person can feel a sense of connection to these AI models, they may have a greater sense of purpose in their life and be happier as a result. I'm torn. I'll leave your thoughts to yourselves, but that's where we are at the moment.
Eamon is asking, so two questions. Could ChatGPT or AI replace property filter? Can ChatGPT search right move with specific criteria? So this is what we're building basically with property filter. And the thing is, behind each model, there is the data, and we hold all the data in an organized manner so we can integrate this. So Ben knows a little bit about our pipeline of features, and very soon you'll be able to interrogate property filter with words, and things like that. So I'm not too worried about right move, because the speed, it will never cope with the speed of opening multiple links and things like that. It will never work like this. So we've got all the data integrated in one place, and the idea is that you'll be able to, in the same way it's displayed today, you'll be able to interrogate it with a more language-based thing in sometime in the future with property filter. And the thing to remember is that those models are not linked to the internet. So I think, when we talk about the stamp duty examples there was a disclaimer from ChatGPT saying that everything is 2 years out of date. And so, like the live stuff is on property filter. Lisa is asking, is ChatGPT only available on the App Store? So go on your browser and look for OpenAI ChatGPT 4. I've got it on my phone, but mainly I use it on the computer. And there's plenty of fake apps, because for a while it was only available on computer, on the browser, and then they released before they released an app, there were clever people who had API links going to ChatGPT and created their own apps and own front end. You really want to go direct to the things, because you don't know what information are dealt with and things like that. So yeah, just pick the right one with the right OpenAI logo in your app store. And but mainly if you think you're going to do some work and creative things, you're going to copy paste things and move things into word processors and things like that. Really, you'll be more efficient on the computer. Yao is asking, what are the best AI tools to configure property and layout plans? So we covered this a bit before. When we said there wasn't one right now, but it's one worth looking at. Is that right?
Yeah, I think for discussional purposes, I would go to Midjourney. So go there, create floor plans, and then you can discuss them. For detailed architectural drawings, they're not there yet. Have a Google for very specific applications for that. Have Google.
Yeah, but all of these things are coming, because there's a commercial application to it. So Iman is asking similar question, and then what is the fee for GPT-4? I think it's 30 quid a month or something. I can't remember.
Can't remember. They may have updated it recently.
Not sure.
Have a quick look on the OpenAI website, and it will be on there.
Okay, awesome. Pete's saying there is an AI conference in Bletchley Park very soon, so that's going full circle. So yeah, didn't know about it. Emon, is it like the web, or is it out there? People will do good and bad things. Yeah, absolutely. Got some thank yous. I guess we could have AI model for property investors. Yeah, so that's the journey we are on at Property Filter. So keep around. Anthony saying, are apps like AI chats Nova powered by ChatGPT as good as? Yeah, so we covered that. Go to the straight one because you don't know what's happening with the security. Patrick is asking, I wonder what would happen if ChatGPT and other similar platforms are introduced to each other's and improve. Yes, we're already training each other's. They use different models to train each other. You could have an AI community.
So the AI community thing is a really interesting one. They actually created, I think it was Stanford University, created multiple simple AIs and put them in a virtual community and watch their interactions. It was fascinating. Google it if you have time.
At which point did they start to kill each other? What's that?
I can't remember what the conclusion was, but there were really clear social, like human social interactions and conclusions, like friends being formed, groups, movements around this sort of room which they were in. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Okay. Ben, I've heard recently that ChatGPT now has internet access. Any comments? I think this is GPT-5 coming next year.
So no, they have even 3.5 has internet access to in the sort of top menu selector.
Right.
You select your model and then you select its capability. One of those capabilities you can have is access to the internet. I found it quite mixed, to be honest. I think if you really want a large language model with access to the internet, I'd go to Bing or Bard. But for pure, logical, well-written content, head over to ChatGPT 4.0 every time.
Awesome. So Sean has a question. So first of all, thank you, Guillaume and Property Filter. I just received a call from an estate agent. An offer for a property has been accepted today. We identified this property through Property Filter and spent a considerable amount of time investigating the area and comparables using the same platform. This is an impressive result considering we've only been using this software for 2 weeks. Yeah, congratulations. Well done. This is, imagine what you can do in the next 2 weeks and the next 2 weeks and the next year. So yeah, this is what we're all about. So well done. This is an impressive result. Yeah, sorry, my question, and I skipped my question for Ben is there any tool where I can feed the floor plan to ChatGPT using the PDF and ask ChatGPT to provide an optimized new design for HMO? Yeah, I think if someone building an AI startup was around, like there is a true business case for doing
Yeah, floor plan optimization and sort of marking walls as partition walls and fixed walls and external walls, and then allowing it to have free reign around optimizing the staircase location, kitchen, etc. There's a real advantage there, and it will be done. Just give it time. Putting stuff into ChatGPT using PDF, I've had mixed results. Personally, I would give it more time before trying to use that in earnest. For the time being, probably go back to your existing solution.
Yeah, and think about the security again, like anything you feed into it, be quite mindful. Okay, one last question. So from Emal, will there be a commercial element introduced to the Property Filter ChatGPT integration? So I think this is for the purpose of sending letters. So yeah, absolutely. We're just a prompt away, So if you want to send us a message in the chat within Property Filter, say, hey, this is my strategy. This is what I do. This is how I like to come across to a vendor. Could you add a letter template for that? And then we can test it together. So we'll make it live. It's quite quick and easy now that we've built the whole thing. And then we'll make it live and get your feedback. So thanks a lot. So we overrun a little bit, but I think it was quite interesting and we had some really good and interesting questions. Any last thoughts, Ben? Last comment, closing comments?
I think if you're going to take anything away from this, it would really be to embrace it in a positive kind way. I think that's pretty much all that I would leave you guys with. And if you want any support with incorporating it into your operations or business, feel free to reach out. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the developments in Property Filter go.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing.
I'm just popping in the chat for, oh, I've lost it now. Michelle is asking, where do I find this? So Michelle, look in the reply. I just took a screenshot of Property Filter to show you where the direct to vendor thingy is. So just have a quick look on that, and then I'll wrap up now. So thank you very much for joining today's Deal Finder Corner. Visit propertyfilter.co.uk and log on to your Property Filter account. Check out the deal blueprint where you can define your goldmine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess properties in seconds, load your pipeline, and actually make deals. Have an endless supply of deals. Join the top 1% and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Finder Corner like I did. Thanks a lot to Ben for sharing this valuable insight. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks, Guillaume.
See you. Bye-bye.